satisfactory. Minister, are you taking the standing? Right. Deputy Niamh Smyth.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you. Thank you for being with us, Minister, to hear the concerns. What I want to talk to today, which is respite services for children in Cavan Monaghan. Thank you for the opportunity to raise this very important issue, which is to do with respite care, which has actually reached crisis point for over 100 families across Cavan and Monaghan who are on a waiting list for support. The situation with respite services for children and adolescents with disabilities across Cavan and Monaghan has deteriorated significantly over recent months, with more and more families unable to access the service that they so badly need. Parents and carers are growing increasingly frustrated with the lack of respite services, so much so that a public action group has been set up to try and highlight the issues that the families are facing. The Parents Action Group for Respite Services held its first meeting in Cashel in County Cavan before Christmas, and by all accounts was robust, heated, highly charged, with parents who feel at the end of their tether. Minister, I have been raising this issue for months now on the floor of this Dáil, in an effort to get something done to relieve these parents, to get a proper, consistent, supportive service in place. On the 4th of January, these parents took to the streets themselves. In a demonstration to convey their anger over the lack of respite services, they protested outside the entrance of St David's Hospital in Monaghan to highlight their concerns over the service. Now, Minister, I don't need to tell you, these are the parents of children with disabilities. Be it physical, be it intellectual, they certainly have huge challenges every day of their lives without having to resort to protesting on the streets outside of a hospital, but they felt that that was necessary for them to have their voice heard and for the HSE to take it as seriously as the issue is for them. The only facility that currently exists for parents who need respite care for their children is Annalea Respite Centre in Cashel. This centre has 5 beds, but at the moment no place is available since mid-September. Now, I do believe the situation has alleviated and perhaps there may be beds available, but we had a crisis situation up until this point. I'd like to commend the hard work of the chairperson of the Parents Action Group, Jenny Farley, whom I know took the time to come up here to meet with Minister Fine McGrath, who met with a delegation including Niamh Brannigan and Kate McCabe and Seamus Cahill, along with my own colleague Brendan Smith, to hear their concerns. And again, Minister, you'd have to take your hat off to parents who not only take the time to call public meetings, to take the time to protest, to take the time to come up here and meet with the Minister. So it is a crisis point. I'm not exaggerating in any sense when I say that. But Minister, I have to say, listening is not good enough. Parents need action. They need another respite centre dedicated to children who need respite services. These parents face enough challenges in life without having the lifeline that is their respite care withdrawn for them, left for months without a break. Minister, it is utterly disgraceful that these parents have been abandoned in a vacuum with no end in sight. The obvious thing for the HSE to do in the midst of a crisis was to find alternative accommodation. The HSE could have offered increased home care support hours to these families, but they haven't. It is my understanding that the service has resumed since the 11th of January, but I'd like you to clearly outline to me today what is the plan that is in place to deal with the backlog of the last 5 months.
Thank you, Deputy. And Taras Dodge.
Chair, and thank you, Deputy Smith. I'm taking this issue on behalf of my colleague Minister McGrath, and I'm not sure, in my version it doesn't specifically reference Cavan or Monaghan, but if you need me to get specific information, I will. It's more of a general response. The Government's ongoing priority is the safeguarding of vulnerable people in the care of the health service. We're committed to providing services and supports for people with disabilities, which will empower them to live independent lives. Respite services are an important part of the range of services supporting people with disabilities and their families. Short breaks can also provide an opportunity for individuals to meet new people, widening their social circle and gain new experiences. Respite care is crucial in helping to reduce family stress, preserve the family unit and provide stability. The need for increased respite services is acknowledged and the HSE continues to work with all service providers to explore various ways of responding to this need in line with the budget available. As part of this ongoing service provision this year, the HSE will provide over 182,500 respite nights, 32,662 day respite sessions to families in need right across the country. In 2018, there was a significant improvement in respite. An additional €10 million was provided to fund 12 new respite houses. That's one in each HSE CHO area, plus an additional 3 houses in the Greater Dublin area to respond to the very high demand for respite from this area. These additional houses are providing additional respite for families that need it. 10 houses have opened to date, the remaining 2 scheduled to open shortly. When fully operational, this will provide 19,000 extra overnights and 2,520 home sharing nights annually. €2 million of that extra money is being targeted at alternative respite services. These are practical and important solutions. Alternative respite is working well locally, with good examples of summer camps, evening and Saturday clubs having taken place and benefiting hundreds of adults and children. In 2018, community-based alternative respite projects delivered 15,144 in-home respite hours to 400 users and 1,296 Saturday evening holiday club sessions to 1,500 people. The number of adult service users continually increases as service users transfer from child to adult services. Therefore, this impacts on the level of respite existing service users receive. In addition, a number of service users have associated mobility needs, which means that they can only access downstairs bedrooms. This also affects the level of respite they receive. In preparing its 2019 National Service Plan, additional funding will be focused by the HSE on a number of priority areas arising from ongoing demographic changes. These include the expansion of community disability services to meet the needs of school leavers, 100 new therapy posts to address assessment of need waiting lists for children with disabilities, personal assistance and home help support service hours, residential places and respite places.
Niamh Smyth.
Okay, Minister, I appreciate you're not the Minister for Disabilities or Health, and it is very good of you to come in here this evening. Unfortunately, though, I would have thought that the HSE would have provided you with information that was detailing about the crisis situation as Cabinet in Monaghan. As I said, it is certainly not the first time that I've raised this, and I know my own colleague Brendan Smith has raised it on a number of occasions as well. Minister, there are parents in this area and this region that have had no respite care for 5 months. Now, I do know that the Parents Action Group were meeting with officials from the HSE this morning in relation to this. But I am not exaggerating when I talk about the frustration. I'm not exaggerating when I give you the numbers of significant numbers of over 100 families that have been affected by this. And I'm not exaggerating when I say the parents are at the end of their tether. I have one particular family who came to me. Their daughter has a severe physical and intellectual disability. She is almost 10 years of age and they have never ever been offered respite care. They're on a waiting list, but they have never ever been offered respite care because the waiting lists are so long. So you add into the equation a house that the one facility that is available is taken up because there is a child who has obviously got difficulties and needs to be housed on their own for whatever reason. There is no other facility to accommodate the parents and the children who are on a waiting list. I would say to you, Minister, we can't carry on like this. These are our most vulnerable in society. These are parents who are exasperated, exhausted, and are losing faith in the system, faith in the one place that they should be able to rely on for some support. Disabilities within our HSE service is crucial, it's critical, because most of these parents are 24 hours, 7 days a week, main carers for these children. And all they are asking for is their respite, which might be one night in 5 or 6 weeks. So, Minister, please take away from what I'm saying to you today. The facility may be back in action. There is 5 months now where there are over 100 parents that have had no care, and that's not taken into account the parents and the children that are on a waiting list that have never had care. So there has to be a plan put in place, Minister, and I want you to carry back to the Minister today. It's an action plan to deal with the crisis that is specific to Cavan Monaghan that we want to know about.
Briefly, I certainly will. I know myself and my own family the importance of respite hours. and I don't doubt that you're not exaggerating the issues for those people who are concerned. I'm not surprised that they're on the streets, because by the very nature, parents of kids with either development or disability issues, you know, the most important people in their lives often is that child that they want to help. And I certainly will tell Minister McGrath about your concerns and ask him to respond directly to you. It's just, as I said, the question certainly as listed here doesn't specify Cavan and Monaghan, but I'll get him and his officials to give you a specific answer in relation to Cavan and Monaghan.